Have you ever stopped to think about where our world, the modern world, really began? It wasn't with computers, not with steam engines. Nope, it started way, way back, the very first time we decided to fundamentally redesign our relationship with the planet. So let's dive into this incredible story of how mastering metal and mastering farming didn't just change the stuff we make, it completely changed who we are as a species. I want you to just picture two different lives. Okay, first, it's 8000 BCE. Your life is completely mobile. You follow the herds, you live in temporary shelters, and everything you own has to fit in a bag on your back. Now let's fast forward a bit to 1500 BCE. Suddenly, your life is rooted. You live in a house, a permanent one, made of brick. You're in a village that has a temple. And your family? You're blacksmiths. You have a specialized trade. The world has just become, stable, predictable, and way more complex.
So what on earth happened in that time? What was the spark that caused this absolutely monumental shift? Well, the answer lies in two huge revolutions. And at their heart, they were revolutions in design. We're talking about agriculture and metallurgy. These two things gave us the power to shape our world in a way we had never, ever imagined.
All right, first up, agriculture. Now, this wasn't just about, sticking some seeds in the ground. It was a massive design project, one that was born out of a critical problem of survival. Humanity literally had to figure out how to tame nature itself.
So what was the trigger? Climate change. Yep, even back then. As the Ice Age finally ended around 10,000 BCE, the wild food sources that we'd relied on for millennia became super unpredictable. So the design challenge was staring us right in the face. How do you create a food supply that's reliable, something you can count on? And that one question, it sparked a huge wave of innovation.
Let's just take this sickle, for example. This isn't just a knife. It is a piece of brilliant, elegant design. That curve, it lets you gather a whole bunch of grain stalks at once. And the edge, it's not one solid blade. It's made of tiny, little, super sharp flint blades that you can actually replace. It just saws through those tough stems so efficiently. It is a perfect example of form following function. And check out this evolution. We start with the simplest thing imaginable, a sharpened stick for poking holes for seeds. Okay, then we get a little smarter. We use a forked branch and drag it to create a furrow. And then, the game changer. The animal-drawn ard, which is basically an early plow. It allowed one person to do the work of dozens. This is iterative design, playing out over thousands of years. But all this new technology, it had a hidden cost. The design of tools like the saddle quern, which is a big stone for grinding grain, it was absolutely brutal on the human body. Archaeologists can literally see the evidence of this repetitive strain on the skeletons of early agricultural women. Their bones show the wear and tear. So design wasn't just shaping our world, it was physically shaping us. Okay, so we've started to get a handle on our food supply. That new stability unlocked our second great revolution, metallurgy. And this is where we make a huge leap. From simply finding materials like stone to actually designing and creating entirely new ones from scratch. Now, it happened in stages. First, we started playing around with copper. It's pretty soft, kind of rare, mostly used for ornaments. Then came the real breakthrough, bronze. And finally, driven completely by necessity, we mastered the really difficult but incredibly abundant metal that would change everything, iron.
Bronze is the really crucial point here. See, bronze is not a material you could just find lying around. It had to be engineered. Someone figured out that by mixing about 10% tin with copper, they could create an alloy, a design material that was stronger, tougher, and way easier to work with than anything that had ever existed before.
And this table here, it shows the trade-offs perfectly. Copper? Too soft for serious tools. Bronze? Yeah, it's hard, but its key ingredient tin was super rare. Now, iron was the ultimate prize. It was incredibly hard and incredibly abundant. But look at that melting point. It was a massive technological challenge to work with.
The shift to iron wasn't really a choice. Around 1200 BCE, a lot of the major civilizations collapsed, and those crucial trade routes for tin just fell apart. Suddenly, bronze became a rare luxury. So necessity really did become the mother of invention, forcing people to figure out how to master the much more difficult but universally available material, iron. So with a stable food supply and powerful new materials, populations just boomed. And this created a brand new design problem. How do we all live together in these large permanent settlements? This wasn't about designing a tool anymore. This was the challenge of designing civilization itself.
And this required a complete 180 in our design philosophy. For millennia, we designed for mobility. Everything had to be light, portable. Now the goal was permanence. We needed things that were heavy, durable, rooted in place. Everything from our houses to our pots and pans had to be completely rethought.
If you want a perfect example, look no further than the cities of the Indus Valley, like Mohenjo-Daro. We are talking about a planned grid layout, sophisticated covered sewers, and public baths over 4,500 years ago. This was not some accidental cluster of houses. It was a meticulously designed urban space.
And their genius is perfectly captured by this single detail, the Harappan brick. Every single one had the same precise ratio of 1 to 2 to 4. Why? It's the key to modular design. It's basically ancient Lego. It allowed for fast, stable, predictable construction on a massive scale. It's brilliant. And their design thinking wasn't just physical. These tiny little Harappan seals, which they pressed into clay on goods, were masterpieces of information design. In a single, tiny object, you have a brand logo, a security system, and a quality guarantee. It was a way to design trust into a complex trading economy. Just think about that.
So here's the crucial point. You can actually read a society's values in its design. In those Harappan cities, the design emphasizes things like public health and standardization for everyone. But in Mesopotamia at the same time, the focus was all on massive temples and palaces, emphasizing a clear hierarchy. Design is like a cultural fingerprint.
So why does all this ancient history matter to us now? Because the design principles that were established thousands of years ago, they form the blueprint for our modern world. Let's break down a few of the key takeaways.
First one, systems thinking. Making a bronze axe wasn't just about the axe. It required an entire system of mines, trade routes, and fuel production, and highly specialized knowledge. The object itself is just the tip of the iceberg. The real design is the entire system that supports it. Second big idea, standardization is the engine of scale. Those Harappan bricks are the direct ancestors of our standardized shipping containers and, yes, even USB ports. By agreeing on a standard, you create this incredible platform for building complex, large-scale systems where everything just works together.
And finally, this might be the most important lesson of all. Design is never neutral. It creates and it reinforces power structures. The design of a granary immediately raises the question, who controls the extra food? The creation of bronze weapons asks, who controls the military? Design always has political consequences.
So when you look around your own home, you're literally seeing the legacy of these ancient revolutions. Your refrigerator? It's just a high-tech granary. That stainless steel knife in your kitchen drawer is the direct descendant of the first iron blades. The very layout of your city block is an echo of Harappa. This history isn't gone. It's alive all around us.
Which leaves us with one final question to think about. If the design choices of ancient societies were a mirror, reflecting their values, community, hierarchy, control, what does the design of our world, our smartphones, our sprawling suburbs, our disposable packaging, what does all of that say about us? What values are we building into the blueprint of our time?